Hey, good Sunday evening, everyone. This is Mitch. Hope you guys have had an awesome Sunday and a great weekend so far. Happy Father's Day again to all the fathers out there. Hope you all had just had a great weekend with the nice weather that we've had. It's been phenomenal weather-wise. About the best late June weekend that you can really ask for weather-wise for sure. This will linger around probably through the next 24 at most 48 hours. And eventually the air mass will switch up again to what we kind of had last week. Will it be as bad? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. That's going to be the big topic, is trying to figure out how hot we could potentially get. But basically the same ridge of high pressure that was affecting areas of the eastern U.S. is kind of pivoted back west, but it's going to pivot back east. In fact, it's already starting to do so. So it's really going to influence our weather and bring some nasty heat to a lot of the same areas that saw nasty heat last week. So we're going to talk about who's going to see the worst in this video. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It's been incredibly slow lately, but I have finally found a groove where I can take advantage of just kind of how slow it's been for a while. It took me a long time to kind of adjust to the channel really slowing down, just like it kind of took me a long time to adjust to it really picking up back over the winter, but it's been nice. I've been able to put more focus on different areas of my life, so it's definitely been a nice change of pace, but I know things are going to pick up. It's inevitable. Hurricane season is going to pick up. In fact, that's probably what we're going to talk about in tomorrow evening's video, as there's some signs that the tropics is starting to heat up a little bit. But if you guys got anything I can pray about, please put in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. Have not been able to really comment to you guys back as far as the comments, and really talk to you guys back as far as the morning video, but I will definitely get to those comments after this video or by the morning and definitely acknowledge them. So I apologize for not answering you guys very quickly, but thank you for all the happy Father's Day wishes. It's really appreciated. It's definitely a gift being a father, so I really appreciate you guys. But check it out here, water vapor loop. This really tells the tale. It's a highly amplified pattern. When I say that, that means that the jet stream is pretty much going crazy. You got a big time ridge of high pressure in the middle of the country that will gradually kind of somewhat shrink and move east and start to really sizzle areas of the eastern U.S. and continue to sizzle the central U.S. You still got this upper trough that's really still influencing areas of the northeast, and it's influencing everybody across the extreme eastern U.S. with pumping a lot of dry air in place. In fact, there's been some record low dew points in certain areas of the country today. I think I think Boone hit a low dew point of 20 degrees. That is extremely dry air for mid to late June standards. It really is. That's incredibly dry. That's like chapstick weather, kind of dry. But it's definitely been incredible, the air mass that we've had, and it's certainly been a strong upper trough. And then we've had troughing, a cold front digging across areas of the western U.S., and between this you've had a jet that's buckling all the way up into Canada and then coming all the way back down, and you've had a big time moist flow that's kicked up the monsoon season, and a lot of beneficial rain has been falling today across areas of New Mexico, Colorado, and some severe weather expected probably here in the next couple hours, if not already ongoing. There is actually some nasty severe weather in Canada as I speak right now, but a big time high energy pattern, if you will, and this will actually be a big player this week on what's going to happen. So another way to look at it is 500 millibars. Basically, it kind of tells a tale on what's going to happen at the surface, even though this is aloft up above our heads. So this is, went a little bit too far ahead. So right now, this is troughing going on out west, ridging in the middle of the country, and this upper trough will gradually get on out the way, unfortunately, and leave it to the heat ridge to dominate our pattern again. So as we're going through here in time, we're getting into tomorrow. Notice this big blob of red or pink or whatever you want to call it. This is our ridge. It's shifting back east. Therefore, anybody who's under the influence of this around the flow, obviously right up under it, is going to sizzle. It's going to be very hot. Temperatures deep into the 90s, all the way into the low 100s, are all likely, not possible, or likely. So this is going to start to dominate the eastern U.S. again, and unfortunately continue to do so. Now, in general, I don't think areas further north are going to be quite as hot as they were last week, as I don't think this ridging will be, especially as we get to the mid to later part of the week, I don't think it's going to really bulge north as much as it did last week, but it is still going to fry areas of the southern U.S., And just, it's very hard to get these patterns out when they really get entrenched into our pattern flow here. So sometimes it takes a hurricane to knock these patterns loose. Not really literally, but it seems like that is the case, especially when we're having a hot fall. Sometimes you'll get a hurricane and it seems like the air mass switches up. I can name many examples of this happening. But in general, this will plague the weather. It really will, unless you're a fan of 100+ degree weather. So let's talk about the central part of the country. This is tomorrow. High temperatures well into the 90s, all the way up into Minnesota, all the way up into Canada. So the ridge is really flexing hard with this high amplified pattern. The jet stream really digging all the way out here west, and then pushing and bulging all the way into Canada, and then flying back down with this upper trough. But I mean, you're going to sizzle across the middle part of the country, and you're starting to gradually warm back up a little bit further east. I mean, you're going to really start to feel it again in Arkansas, Memphis, Illinois. It's starting to heat up again. And you'll see this here. Very hot temperatures Monday, then we get back into Tuesday, and then here's Tuesday high temperatures. Notice it's cooling back down the Dakotas, as basically this ridging is somewhat shrinking, and you have more of a different air mass up north in general. So look how hot it is. It's getting very hot against the Ohio, for the Ohio Valley again. 91 degrees and potentially for Tuesday. Deep into the 90s for Illinois. 90s all the way up into southern Wisconsin. 90s Iowa. Then points south. Missouri, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Louisiana, Texas. All deep into the 90s. Certain areas hitting 100 degrees. And I know you're thinking, well, this isn't too bad necessarily compared to last week. But it really starts to continue to heat up, and this high pressure really begins to strengthen, if you will. And here you goes. You notice, this is what I'm talking about, me not thinking it's going to be as hot for the northern states. You notice once you start to get into Wednesday, the ridging is not bulging as far north. Therefore, places up in Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, you just have more typical June temperatures. Is it still pretty warm? A little bit above average? A little bit, yeah. But, you'll go from the 90s in Minneapolis through the 70s in 2 days and back to some nice weather. But it is absolutely torching areas to the south. In fact, we can just go on and switch to the southeast in general. Notice I'll start off by tomorrow morning. Please enjoy the nice weather, especially if you're in Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky. Point south, you'll wake up to the 50s, maybe some 40s and some higher elevations. Columbia, all the way to the Midlands of South Carolina, North Georgia, could experience the upper 50s, as low as the upper 50s in the morning. Please walk outside, take it all in, because it's going to potentially really be the last time you might see 50s, temperatures in the 50s, maybe until late August or September. You really don't know when you can get locked into a true summer pattern, which typically lasts 2 to 3 months. This is it's not necessarily rare, but this is certainly an uncommon cool push that we've experienced for this weekend. And it's been relatively long lasting too. You can really notice it today across the Carolinas with the low humidity. It's still warm deep into the 80s. But man, if you go swimming in this kind of weather, you really cool down much quicker than if you have dew points in the 60s and 70s as opposed to the 40s and 50s. It feels much different, and you're a lot colder when you get out of the water, if you notice that. But anyways, get off that here. We're getting into Monday high temperatures. Not too bad, especially if you're the further northeast you get, you're still getting influenced by this upper trough. So it's still a beautiful day across the northeast, but you notice the warmer temperatures are creeping more and more east. You're starting to get back into the 90s for everybody in South Carolina, for Georgia, points east. And then it's starting to get deep into 90s the more further west you get. And then we're getting into Tuesday. 97 degrees in Columbia, getting back in the 90s in Charlotte. You're still cool up in the northeast. You're still hanging on, and you probably will. This ridge is going to be kind of more of a bogged down ridge, but just as strong as last week's ridge. It really is. But it's just not going to flex as much. Notice 90s up in the Ohio Valley, all the way up into southern Michigan. Very hot temperatures. You're deep into the 90s. Heat index is probably going to be pretty high. I don't think it's going to be quite as humid mixed with the high temperatures as we saw last week. I think we'll have a little bit more dry air mixed in with this, as opposed to the more of the moist flow that we had last week. And you look at last week's system was bad because of that, but was also good because you had those ridge riders, those storms that could potentially cool us off really in the afternoon, evening hours. Unfortunately, and I'll talk about this, we're not going to get those storms in this pattern. We're really not. Somebody might get lucky, get a pop-up shower and storm, but not even close to as near widespread as what we saw last week with the retros and just those nasty line of storms that were pivoting around this ridge of high pressure. But as we're getting into Wednesday, look, we're starting to flirt with the hundreds in Georgia and South Carolina, even the panhandle of Florida. Nasty, nasty heat. I actually think the epicenter of the nastiest heat is going to be in here, unfortunately. But you notice in the Ohio Valley, it's starting to cool back down. It's still hot, but you're certainly not deep into the upper 90s anymore. But you're getting into Thursday, and notice the really hot temperatures are showing up deep down here in Alabama and Georgia and the panhandle of Florida, which is showing over 100 degrees possible. But you notice, the Carolinas and not quite as warm. So we'll watch this. Maybe this pattern does not last long, but I can tell you, and I don't think it's going to be as hot this week as last week. I just really don't. I think certain areas could break a couple records. I definitely think that. But as right now, do I think a lot of people are going to get over 100 degrees? Do I think my area here in Columbia, South Carolina is going to push 100 degrees a few days this coming week? Absolutely. But do I think it's going to be as hot as last week? I don't really think it is. But we'll see. But another nasty hot week coming up. And unfortunately, this is the national blend of all models, which is what I've been showing so far. This is rain between now, Sunday evening, and next Sunday evening. So this is 7 days worth of precipitation. So I think Florida is going to have a nice southerly flow. I think you guys will get some pop-up showers and storms almost every day. There will be a possibility of that, especially right now and probably the next day or two. But everybody else, every state you see right here, little to no rain. So what really sucks is if you did not see any moisture last week and just was hotter than Hades and you didn't get any rain from the nasty storms, then the chances of getting rain this week are going to be pretty low. They really are. Certain people will not see rain all this week. Most people won't. Now you look at the southeast as far as the drought. I just want to show you the southeast. Right now, in areas of the eastern Carolinas, areas of southeast Georgia, you're starting to get into a severe drought, a moderate to severe drought. This is going to increase this week. I really think it is. So make preparations, do what you got to do. Keep things watered somehow. I'm blessed with a well, fortunately. And I don't have a garden anyways or a farm, but I feel for folks being affected by this nasty heat. Hopefully we get this out the way in June and we can get into a better pattern as we get into July and August, which sometimes can be brutally hot also. But that's all I got, guys. Stay cool out there. Enjoy this evening. Enjoy tomorrow morning. And God bless all y'all, and I'll talk to y'all in the morning.